I really should have thought up an intro beforehand, shouldn't I? So welcome to the first installment of Trailer Track. So what is Trailer Track? It is essentially going to be a weekly, I wouldn't say series, but sort of just like mini little breakdown discussion talking about the last 7 days in terms of movie trailers, TV trailers, and just any kind of major marketing news that might have come out for any of the major movies and shows coming out in 2024 and beyond. I didn't really have a plan for this. It was sort of just an idea I came up with. Like, I'm going to be looking at a lot at my laptop, which is just below the camera here, because I have like a full list of just like notes and key points I wanted to talk about. And I should explain as well why I'm standing up. I just didn't want to sit. Like, it's kind of boring just sitting in front of a camera and talking, so at least this way I can be a bit more active with hands and just not sitting on the ground talking about trailers for 5-10 minutes. Alright, so basically going to start this off with like probably the biggest trailers, and then sort of just as we work down, go to some of the smaller stuff, and then we'll do a quick little recap of just some other smaller bits of news, and then we'll just see how we go from there. Hopefully people will be able to follow along and enjoy this. The plan for this is to be like a full weekly series. I'm still a little bit loose around the release schedule. Like, this should hopefully be coming out on Friday, and then I'm going to have stuff maybe coming out on Sundays to better fit the 7-day period. I'm not entirely sure yet. This is my first time, so bear with me on this. Alright, so momentous occasion. What is the first trailer we're going to be discussing here on Trailer Track? Despicable Me 4. Have you left the video yet? Excellent. Earlier in the week, we did get our first teaser trailer for Despicable Me 4, which is slated to come out July 3rd. That falls in line with the typical release schedule for trailers from the major studios. Usually the teaser trailers, they drop around 6 to 5 months before the movie comes out, so it does match up well with the average timetable there. So Gru is back. Everyone's favorite pointy-nosed father figure, anti-hero villain has returned for the fourth, or I guess 6th installment in this franchise that Illumination refuses to kill off because it just happens to be their cash cow as well. Can't say there was a lot to take away from this, if I'm being perfectly honest. We did have to reveal that Gru now has a son, along with the 3 girls. So now he's a father of 4, and the kid apparently hates him, which is okay, sure, why not? To be perfectly honest, there wasn't really much anticipation going into this. Like, it's another Despicable Me movie. We haven't gotten one since, I think, 2017, I think, was when 3 came out, and then obviously we had Minions: The Rise of Gru come out not long ago, but it's still like, okay, you can balance things out a little bit there. But in terms of the casting side of things, we do have some new ones. Will Ferrell and Sofia Vergara are going to be playing the villains of this movie, and that actually got me a little bit excited because Steve Carell, Will Ferrell obviously have a good history with working together in films. I don't think we've seen them really do many animated movies together. I think this might be their first. People can correct me if I'm wrong there. And Sofia Vergara, obviously very funny. Just looking at my notes now, Will Ferrell is going to be playing a character called Maxime Lamal, a supervillain who seeks revenge on Gru and his family. The actual means for why said revenge is happening, we don't know. We'll have to figure that out later on. And Sofia Vergara is going to be playing Valentina, who is Lamal's femme fatale girlfriend. We have Joey King, who's going to be showing up as a new character called Poppy, who's going to be an aspiring supervillain. From the looks of it, Gru will sort of take on a bit of a mentor role with that. I'm not entirely sure. She's definitely seen in a couple shots performing a heist with Gru, the Minions, and Gru's son, because bringing a baby to danger. It's the favorite animated cliche right there. So yeah, it's a teaser trailer for an animated movie. You don't really get much with that. Very fun choice to put Sweet Child of Mine in the trailer, because you'll remember the last film franchise to use Sweet Child of Mine in their marketing didn't exactly turn out really well. Alright, so second up, we've got Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. They released their second trailer this week. That movie's going to be coming out March 22nd. Looking at this, I was honestly quite surprised how much I enjoyed the trailer and how much I think it might actually turn out to be good. Now, obviously, there is that factor of like, okay, it's a legacy sequel, so you do have to be a bit careful around these because the hit rate on legacy sequels not going the greatest at the moment. I don't know, watching this, I was actually surprised by how much I enjoyed it. It genuinely seems like it could be a lot of fun. You can never say it'll be as good as the first one, but in terms of like what we've gotten in the past, it looks like it could be a pretty serviceable sequel of some sorts to the original one. It's got a brand new original villain. We're not just doing villains we've done in the past. Thank you, Ghostbusters Afterlife, for that. The stakes seem a lot bigger than the last one. I mean, end of the world stuff. How can you make stakes bigger than that? But in terms of just like the imminent danger, we're not just spending the entire time building it up. It looks like we're jumping straight into it. Second coming of Ice Age type stuff. We've got forces that can literally scare people to death. I love that so much. I think that could be such a cool little thing for Ghostbusters to play around with. We've got some new faces as well. We've got some better looks at Camille Nanjiani and Patton Oswalt, the sort of roles they may play with their characters for this. I'm really excited to see what they do with that because, they're such funny people. I think adding Camille Nanjiani and Patton Oswalt to the Ghostbusters franchise, that's such a good choice. I cannot think of two better people who could be well fitted for that. I think one of the interesting things watching this trailer was thinking about how the film is going to balance the two, it seems like they're doing the two major groups with their ensemble cast. You've got the first group, which is Paul Rudd, Carrie Coon, Finn Wolfhard, and McKenna Grace, all reprising their roles from Ghostbusters Afterlife. And then you also have the originals, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, and Annie Potts returning as Janine as well, seeing her suited up. That was a lot of fun. I think the biggest surprise of this trailer was the return of William Atherton. He's going to be reprising his role as Walter Peck from the first movie. It's his first on-screen acting role since 2017. That was quite a surprise to see him back. Obviously, Walter Peck, he's the kind of character that you just love to hate. He's such a moron in the first movie, but he's also a lot of fun to watch because of just how one-dimensional his hatred is. And I'm excited to see, and it looks like he's going to be the mayor role of New York this time around. So that gets me really excited to see the kind of comedic potential we could get from that as well. And, the ghosts look cool. I think a lot of new gadgets as well. We haven't really seen a lot of new gadgets in the Ghostbusters franchise. So I think to see different ways that they do it, it's really exciting. I genuinely have belief that this movie could end up being a lot better than we thought because that first teaser trailer did not really give away anything and it just didn't look that exciting or impressive. All right, what else we got here? We got our first look at Guy Ritchie's new film, The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, which is coming out April 19th. Didn't know a lot about this movie coming into it. I just stumbled upon the trailer and thought, oh, it's a new Guy Ritchie movie. Might as well check out the teaser. The synopsis, I've got it here. Billed as a true story about a secret British World War II organization, the Special Operations Executive. Founded by Winston Churchill, their irregular warfare against the Nazis helped to change the course of the war and gave birth to modern black operations. So it is being set up as a true story kind of thing. Again, I'm always a bit skeptical about how true is the true story aspect of movies, especially when it comes to something like a Guy Ritchie movie, what just happens to be, him and Matthew Vaughn had a very similar style when it comes to action movies. They can be very silly and very over the top at times. But some major takeaways from this. Guy Ritchie, he collaborates with Henry Cavill for the second time. He's going to be the main character in this. Alan Richardson, I thought that was a very exciting casting. Carrie Elwes, he's going to be a lot of fun to watch with. The trailer did look like a lot of fun, and I think it does give off a really good energy that could be a really good movie to watch. But there's always that level of skepticism with Guy Ritchie's movies because he's very inconsistent with his films. With every Sherlock Holmes, there is The Man from U.N.C.L.E., which I know a lot of people didn't hate. I wasn't a big fan of it personally. And then with every The Gentleman, you get an Operation Fortune. So it's a matter of okay, which Guy Ritchie are we going to get? Are we going to get a Gentleman Guy Ritchie or are we going to get an Aladdin Guy Ritchie? We did get some more marketing today. DreamWorks unveiled their first look at the Megamind sequel film and series, which are going to be both streaming on Peacock March 1st. The film, Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate, will pick up moments after the events of the 2010 movie Megamind, which ends when the title character goes from supervillain to superhero. Obviously, Megamind, very underrated movie. I think a lot of people are now starting to really get into it a lot more. When it came out, it didn't really get a lot of buzz in that. I love it. I personally think the movie is hilarious. I got a synopsis here as well, or a press release from Peacock. Megamind's former villain team, the Doom Syndicate, has returned. Our newly crowned blue hero must now keep up evil appearances until he can assemble his friends, Roxanne, Old Chum, and I think Kaiko, I want to say, to stop his former evil teammates from launching Metro City to the moon. So it's a Megamind premise, all right. It doesn't sound awful. At the end of the trailer, DreamWorks also revealed the title of the new Megamind TV series, Megamind Rules! Exclamation mark. What a title. In terms of the actual trailer, though, the initial excitement upon hearing that Megamind was going to be coming back for a series, because we didn't know the movie was going to happen initially, so the trailer was all right, so we're doing a movie and the show. That excitement quickly died down, though, when the trailer pretty much revealed that none of the original cast are coming back for this. There's going to be no Will Ferrell, no Tina Fey, no David Cross as Minion. And the animation did not look that impressive either. I get that it's a streaming movie, so it might not have that big of a budget, But it just, compare it to the first one, it's the same, it's an issue I have with a lot of DreamWorks stuff when they do stuff on streaming services. It's, the animation for this looks more reminiscent of the animation for the DreamWorks Netflix series for the How to Train Your Dragon franchise and Kung Fu Panda. It gives me a kind of worrying impression that this might end up being like a Surf's Up 2 kind of thing, where it's sort of like a film that was liked by the people who watched it, but it wasn't necessarily the most popular thing to ever exist, and then they release a sequel years later, and it kind of just falls apart. I don't know. I might be being a bit critical here, but the trailer, it just didn't look good. I was really bummed out to hear that Will Ferrell wasn't coming back, because his voice is so much of what we recognize from the character. The lines, the delivery is, I think, what makes up most of Megamind. So the fact that he's not going to be back now, it sort of gives off that impression of like, it's not going to feel like Megamind. The trailer, everything just didn't feel right. Everything felt off. And no David Cross as Minion either. I mean, that man, no offense to David Cross, he can't be doing that much work. I feel like surely they could have been able to bring him back. But, I mean, it's... Who knows? Who knows? It could be good, but I'm not holding a hope for it that much. Okay, so I'll move on to some just quick other notes for trailers and just major marketing news in general. So this is where we start to take a step down from the bigger stuff and sort of just look at more of the movies I noticed and the trailers I looked at. Dev Patel's directorial debut, Monkey Man, coming April 5th, had its first trailer released. I've got the synopsis for the movie here. Kid, who's going to be played by Patel, an anonymous young man working in an underground fight club, sets out to exact revenge against a group of corrupt leaders who are responsible for his mother's death and also taking advantage of the poor. So the impression from that, it's like a mixture of like a Robin Hood and typical revenge story type thing. The trailer itself, again, I can't really take much away from it because it was my first time hearing about it. The film looked action-packed though, very stylized. A lot of the use of the neon colors in the trailer reminded me a lot of the John Wick movies. So it's going to be an interesting one to look at. I think I'll need to see a bit more because again, it's only a teaser, so there's only so much they can show. But it doesn't look bad. I'm interested to see how Patel goes with his directing. This week we also got plenty of Dune Part 2 and Madam Web. TV spots and featurettes as their marketing campaigns start to pick up a little bit with their release dates getting closer and closer and closer. Obviously, Dune Part 2, some of these shots, I swear every single TV spot, just something. There's like another shot that just looks amazing. Madam Web, I mean, what can you say about it at this point? I hope that it surprises people and that it ends up not being terrible, but it's not looking good for Madam Web. Another piece of news that came out today, Beetlejuice 2 officially revealed their proper title for the movie. It's going to be Beetlejuice. I love that title. I think that's actually a very clever way to play around with the titles a bit. And it also released its first poster, which I'm going to be showing up on the screen now. Not a lot to take away from it. Again, it falls under that same umbrella that Ghostbusters Frozen Empire have, where it is a legacy sequel. So immediately there is that thought in the back of your head that's like, okay, how is this going to turn out? Is it going to be a proper serviceable sequel to the original, or is it going to just damage the franchise altogether? I have faith in Tim Burton. I think that while he has been on a bit of a cold streak recently with some of the films he's done, I think a movie like Beetlejuice really gets to give him the opportunity to go back to his roots a bit and play around with some of the more practical effects. Because Jenna Ortega has gone on statement saying that a lot of the effects are practical. And as I said, Jenna Ortega's in the cast now. They got brought with Willem Dafoe, Michael Keaton, Catherine O'Hara, Winona Ryder. They're all coming back. So I am excited to see how it turns out, because I do think there is a good potential possibility that the movie could end up being really good, but you can never know with these kind of movies. And as a final note, obviously, one of the main reasons I brought this series up and I'm starting it now is because the Super Bowl is approaching. So there is plenty of speculation on what film trailers we're going to get for that. Obviously, it is one of my favorite days of the year. I'm probably the only person in this world that watched the Super Bowl for the trailers and not the actual game itself. So there's been a lot of speculation about what we might be seeing in terms of first looks or maybe second trailers coming out. One that does seem definitely likely at this point is we'll get our first look at Deadpool 3. From the looks of it, it looks like we'll be getting a big game spot they'll be playing during the game, and then we'll have a full-length trailer released online shortly after that. And I am excited. Like, it's the only Marvel movie coming out this year, so it's fingers crossed they can really stick the landing with this, because they need a hit after a while. In terms of other trailers that have been in discussion to possibly maybe show up during the game, we've had stuff like A Quiet Place Day 1, Godzilla and Kong the New Empire, Inside Out 2, Transformers 1, Twisters, and the Sonic spin-off series Knuckles. There's some of the other films and shows that are rumored to maybe have a feature in the game, but only time will tell. We'll probably get some more news within the next week as we get closer to the game, because that's when some of the studios, they'll do like the little 15-second teaser to say, oh, trailer coming Super Bowl. And that's it. The last 7 days, the trailer's kind of wrapped up there. Probably not the most in-depth discussion of all time. As I said, there's only so many trailers I can watch, because a lot of them do come out during the week, and there's just too many to keep track of sometimes. So I try my best to incorporate the big stuff and also some of the smaller stuff as well that probably isn't getting a lot of discussion. But this is something that I wanted to do, because making trailers is only one side of the enjoyment I get out of editing and stuff like that. Watching them is another thing. I always enjoy seeing the unique ways that companies advertise their movies, the way different genres, the techniques they use, and I think getting a chance to discuss that along with my thoughts in general on just some of the upcoming movies for this year, it's a lot of fun. And I hope people who are watching this end up having the same thoughts, because I do have a lot of fun doing this, and I hope people have enjoyed it as well. So that will do it. First episode of Trailer Tracked right there. All wrapped. Said no intro, no conclusion. Hope people have enjoyed. If you want to get in the discussion with me, feel free to, whether it's in the comments or if people know me personally, you can just message me on socials. But otherwise from that, that's it. Take care. Enjoy your weekends.